What's up, guys? My name's Dean, or as most of you know me, Twisty, and it's time to get to another round wrap-up. This is round 14 this week, so if you do go on and enjoy today's video, please leave a big thumbs up for Trent over here. He needs the thumbs up. So let's get straight into the ladder this week. We have, sitting in first position, the Hawks. Have a look at them there. 11-3, they'll have the bye this week, along with Geelong, the Giants, North Melbourne, Fremantle and Brisbane, the other teams having a bye in round 15, of course. Sydney had the bye this week, they didn't really move. I think they may have moved up a position. Geelong lost a couple of percentage, so the Swans jumped over the top of them. But a real big missed opportunity for Geelong at this stage. I mean, you're 10-4 and you've only got one loss to top 8 sides. So I think that they're in a little bit of maybe trouble of missing out on a top 2 finish. But I think the Giants are also well placed. I think that top 4 should be the final top 4. Maybe Adelaide can sneak in there if they can nudge out one of those sides. Adelaide versus North Melbourne. The Crows should have won this by 50 to 100 points. They kicked 12 goals, 28, which is a record number of behinds for the Adelaide Crows, and a record number of behinds by any team since 1995. So their accuracy definitely costing them a little bit of percentage in the end there, and could have really ruined North's top 4 chances with that percentage destruction. But North Melbourne were lucky to get away there. They only kicked 2 more goals than North Adelaide, despite having 23 more scoring shots. And they were in a lot of gee whiz, I can't say words. A lot of trouble, North Melbourne, because they just, you miss out on a lot of opportunities. When you come up against real high-quality opposition, they just can't beat them. And I think that's their problem at the moment. That's the problem I have going into finals, and that's what they've had over the last couple of years. Is they've done well, but they cannot beat the best quality opposition. In this case, they've lost to Hawthorn, they've lost to North Melbourne. Oh wait, they've lost to Adelaide, they've lost to Geelong, and they've lost to Sydney. All of them away, granted, but they still got to get the job done over one of those sides if they're going to push into the top 4. If you're going to be in the top 4, you have to beat other top 4 sides. It's simple as that. Moving on to the next game, we got Collingwood and Fremantle from Friday night. Cloak kicked a couple, Cox kicked a couple, White kicked a couple, Pavlich kicked a couple, and Ballantyne kicked a couple as well. I didn't really watch too much this game. Watched the first quarter, and that was about it. So they started well, Collingwood, and then I watched the highlights a bit after. They started well. Cloak probably played his best game for the season, given how pretty poor he's been all year. So really good stuff from him to sort of recover there. You'd think he'd hold his spot even with Darcy Moore coming into that side. It'll be interesting to see if they take out one of those 3 talls in Cloak, Cox and White in that forward line, depending on who I guess they're playing or who they match up against will be interesting. I don't think he can play all 4 of them unless Jesse White plays sort of back, which is what he played earlier in the season when they were managing to fit them all into the side. But yeah, except for Cox. Cox hasn't played with Cloak until now. Oh no, there was played a couple of weeks ago as well. But they were much improved, Collingwood, and Fremantle. They were pretty poor. They were pretty disappointing given how well they'd come off the last 3 weeks. Granted, they weren't against top quality opposition, but they still managed to get wins. So I think that they'll be disappointed with their effort this week, and will probably look to push through next week. I think they're going to bye next week, so we'll see how they go when they return from their bye. Maybe they were just stuffed, all the young kids. You never know. But let's have a look at the Coleman really quickly here. Buddy on top, 47, had a bye this week. Kennedy's still got a game in hand. Lynch has a game in hand. Jenkins, Betts, all with games in hands there, those top 5 players. And then Gunston on 33 and Bruce on 31. And Hawkins also on 31. Gee, there's a number of players on 31. Hawkins and Bruce also do not have a game in hand because they have already... they got their bye next week. So that's interesting to see. But looks pretty much like a 3-horse race at the moment between Franklin, Kennedy, and Lynch. I know Jenkins is up there, but I think he's 9 goals back, and that's going to be really difficult to peg back unless, he can kick, a couple of bags. Just more than one. That'll be the only way that it happens. Moving on to Saturday, early game time slot. That was Richmond and the Brisbane Lions. 7-goal win of the Tigers. 42 points. Rewald kicked 4 goals. Should have had 7. Hipwood was very good. Eka Hipwood for the Brisbane Lions. He was pretty good there. Kicked 3 goals. Could have had a couple more. I like his nice straight run up. Good solid kick with the ball. Connor Menadue probably played his best game. Had 22 touches and kicked a couple of goals. Sam Lloyd also got a couple of goals. But Dustin Martin, 3 votes once again. Every time I see Dustin Martin get the ball, he just lights up the place. And you can notice it really easily compared to previous seasons, is that Dustin Martin, when he gets the ball now, he just takes off and goes. He runs. Whereas, the last couple of seasons, he probably hasn't been able to do that as much as in terms of just absolutely explode with the ball. Now he has this explosive pace that he can just run with the ball. He's definitely a chance for the Brownlow. And Richmond, if they're going to make the finals, which I still think is a very far away miracle, Dustin Martin is going to be the man. He needs to be 100% fit the entire time. Cannot have him injured at all. And he is just, he's a joy to watch. He really is. He's one of those players that you just love watching get the ball now. And he looks like he's moving really fluently now compared to other seasons. Other seasons might have stagnated a bit later on in games. But now he is just as fit as can be. He's looking a ripping player. Absolutely love his work. And where to now for Brisbane? Well, they fought hard. They fought it out to the end. They were down by 56 points at 3/4 time. Managed to win the last quarter. So they'll take that as a positive out of this game and hopefully work that forward to the next couple of weeks. They've got a bye next week. So we'll see how they go on the back end of that. Now, on to the Twilight Game. We saw the Giants obliterate Carlton. It was pretty close for the majority of the first and halfway through the second quarter, but then they just exploded GWS. Stevie J very good. Josh Kelly's very good. Cameron only kicked 3 goals, and he didn't really have that much impact on the game, to be perfectly honest. Dylan Shield is an absolute gun of a player. He will be right up there in Brownlow votes with Callum Ward and all Australian as well, those two potentially. Absolutely ripping players to watch. And the Blues, Bryce Gibbs 200th had 29 touches, did alright, but they definitely would want a little bit more consistency with their performances. They had their good string of wins in a row, and then they knocked off Geelong. Now, can they somehow, find another way to knock off another top 8 side? It will be interesting to see come the end of the season. I think that's probably what they want out of the year, is probably just maybe knock off another top 8 side and get a little bit more consistency with their game. That is Carlton. Now, let's move on to what I considered to be the game of the season. This was insanely good to watch. St Kilda 14-9-93 defeated Geelong 13-12-90. Mingington kicked 3. Weller kicked a couple. He was close to my best on ground, Mav Weller, for the Saints. He was just so fierce and hard with the ball, and he just ran and ran and ran. Jack Stephen was also up there in terms of best on. Reward had 26 touches from the wing, so these guys are just getting there. Hawkins, did he get a free kick at the end of the game? Should he have got a free kick? I don't think so. I think it was just, one of those instances that people make out to be more important than it was. Selwood and Dangerfield were good as usual for Geelong. But boy, this was a super exciting match. And the reason I'm saying it's a game of the season is because I think it probably overtakes Richmond and Sydney. It overtakes Adelaide and Sydney because, both sides were just 100% pressure the whole time. It was insanely difficult to get at possession, and each chance had to be taken because there was so many desperate efforts by players to make it to a contest and win or nullify the contest, and I think that's what St Kilda did the entire night. It was going to be interesting to see if they could pull it off for the entire 4 quarters. That's what I was always wondering early on, and they did. And then Jack Stephen socketed it off the ground at the very end, and they got the win. They managed to hold off for the last 4 or 5 minutes there without a further score. So really, really well done to St Kilda there. Absolutely. Fantastic win. Fantastic win. And now we'll move on to Sunday, the final game. It was closer than a lot of people thought. Raining in Launceston as well. But Gold Coast Suns were within 8 points in the final quarter at one stage. I think it was 60-68. They didn't score for the majority. For the rest of the game, the Hawks kicked the final 3 with, I think, Sicily, Gunston kicked one, and Bruce kicked one, and I think that Burgoyne kicked the other one. to sort of seal the deal. The two leading ball winners for each side were Gary Ablett and Sam Mitchell. They were probably the two best players on the ground. I think Mitchell probably outranks Ablett there for the 3 votes, but they were very, very good. The Hawks, and they moved into top position on the ladder. So, despite all these injuries they've been having, despite Roughhead and things that have been going on there, Hawthorn are still in first place on the ladder. I mean, you wouldn't pick it, would ya? Unbelievable. I think they got the bye next week, so they might drop off, but gee whiz, they are finding a way, aren't they, Hawthorn, to just, like, if they finish top 2, good luck to anyone stopping them in the final series. I mean, it's going to be very difficult. But once again, let's take a look at the top 8 v top 8. Geelong 6-1 still. I think it was one couple of teams here. Adelaide added a win to their ledger, so they moved to 4-4 against top 8 sides, and North Melbourne moved to 2-4 against top 8 sides with their loss to the Crows. I think this week the top 8 v top 8 match will be the Swans and the Bulldogs, so we'll see how we go coming into that game. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video and you enjoyed the footy on the weekend, especially that St Kilda Geelong game. If you haven't watched it yet, watch some of the highlights already. It was a ripping game. And thank you guys for watching, and I will see you all later.